Hey everybody and welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk about an Empty City's latest release, which was called Monoliths and which came out in December 2020. This is a super unpopular band and a super unpopular album, and I've been jamming it a lot lately, so I kind of just felt the desire to talk about it and upload a video with me just giving my basic opinion on it. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. An Empty City is a metalcore band from China, more precisely from Shanghai, and they're quite unpopular. They're sitting at about 500 monthly listeners on Spotify right now, and I think it was about 1,000 likes on Facebook, so it's really quite a small band, and that makes it all the more surprising to me just how good the album turned out and just how much I've been enjoying it lately. I stumbled across this band while browsing Reddit a couple of weeks ago, and I was immediately blown away by their sound, which I would describe as a kind of mixture of that weird hardcore style that, for example, Dealer and Alpha Wolf are doing, but mixed with a couple of influences of like just basic but heavy metalcore, which, for example, Blegh is doing very well at the moment. And just to show you what I mean, I'm going to show you a short clip of one of their songs, just so you can imagine what I'm talking about. This is an Empty City's second record, and I honestly recommend it to anyone who's in a search for some new and fresh sounding metalcore. The album is filled to the brim with like super hard-hitting riffs and breakdowns, but it never feels monotone or even boring like a lot of similar other records do. Every song has its own identity defined by very unique passages of leads, passages of synths, breakdowns, riffs, or really great vocals. This is further ensured by the fact that the album has two kind of interludes, which are a bit more emotional and a bit more atmospheric and serve as a break for the listener to just catch their breath. Because honestly, this album is pretty forward and it would be exhausting to just listen to in one go if it wasn't for these interludes. The second one of these interludes, which is also the second last song on the record, is actually one of my favorite songs on the album. It's a 4-minute instrumental song that contains speeches that Ted Mosby gave throughout How I Met Your Mother, and it's overall just super emotional and it just builds up all these emotions. Sadly, all the build-up emotions go to waste because the next song on the record, and the last one, is actually the heaviest one, and it just has no emotion in it at all. Generally speaking, I would count the overall lack of emotions and hand in hand with that lack of melody as pretty much my only point of critique. And it's an even more sad one because with the interlude I just spoke about, they just showed that they can do it, and it's sad that they didn't do it anywhere else because this record is so full of breakdowns and so full of riffs that in between it can feel a little bit hollow, and I think a little bit more melody and emotions would have done a great deal here. Nevertheless, this record is absolutely amazing and I recommend it to anyone who's a fan of Dealer or a fan of Alpha Wolf or a fan of Crystal Lake. Also, I would just recommend it to anyone who's just got time on his hands to listen to a couple of new albums, because the next big release is going to be, I think it is Architects or Landmarks in February, and there's lots of time until that. So why not just visit a few albums that you missed, and I would definitely recommend this one as one album you should visit. After all, I would give this album about 8 out of 10 points, and my favorite songs that I recommend you to check out are Far Side of the Moon, Graffiti, and Monoliths.
Nothing's lost, nothing.